What up? I'm B and welcome to my channel. I hope you are having a great Tuesday today and you are ready to do a little bit of a deep dive in continuation with the story that we've been talking about for the past few months on this channel. Now, if the name Chad Daybell doesn't really mean anything to you, doesn't ring a bell, I'm going to put a card up here so that way you can go to my first video that I made about this topic. We're going to be taking a look at recent developments in the Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell case, and there's a lot that's happened so far, so if you don't have a really clear idea of what the basis of the crime is that we are talking about, or the basis of the situation, you're going to want to watch that because it's a lot. But if you have a pretty good idea of what's been going on so far, stay right here because there have been some pretty intense developments. Before we get too deep into the video, I do want to put a reminder out there that I do now have a channel membership that you can join for $1.99 per month, and that's going to give you access to an exclusive live stream the second Tuesday of every month, where we talk about things that we can't really talk about in public on YouTube. We're going to get into some nitty-gritty stuff. Sometimes we just hang out, have a good time when things are really heavy. Sometimes we look at lighter things like we did this past Tuesday, and no matter when you join, you'll be able to see the past live streams and catch up on those. So if that's something you want to do and help support my channel in that way, that would be incredible. I will leave a link down below. But that aside, let's go ahead and get into this update. As many of you guys know, last week Chad Daybell's property was searched by authorities and they ended up finding 2 sets of human remains. And many of us believed that those would belong to Tylee and JJ because they have been missing since last September. No one has seen them, no one's heard from them. JJ requires medication and his medication hadn't been filled since then. They got rid of his service dog, all this stuff. For the first few months of their disappearance, a lot of us were kind of up in the air, unsure. Were they alive? Were they not? Were they just missing? Were they hiding out somewhere safe? And a lot of us wanted to believe that they were just being held in a safe place, but we kind of know how these things go. And so when those 2 sets of human remains were found, we figured what the answer was going to be, that they were going to belong to Tylee and JJ. And so the family ended up coming out saying, yes, we believe that those are the remains that were found on Chad's property. And now we do have an official update from the police. So this is from CNN. And it says, human remains found in Idaho identified as Lori Vallow's children. And this was updated on Saturday, June 13th. So it says, Idaho police confirmed the 2 sets of human remains found at Chad Daybell's home were those of 2 missing children who had not been seen since September, according to a news release issued Saturday. Daybell is married to Lori Vallow, the mother of the children, 17-year-old Tylee Ryan and 7-year-old Joshua JJ Vallow. A search warrant was executed Tuesday at Daybell's home in Fremont County near the Wyoming border, where the remains were found. After being taken to the medical examiner's office, the bodies were identified as JJ and Tylee. It is not the outcome we had hoped, to be able to find the children safe. Our hearts and prayers go out to the families of JJ and Tylee, the Rexburg Police Department said in a news release. Tylee was last seen when she visited Yellowstone National Park on September 8th with her brother, her mother, and her uncle Alex Cox, according to authorities. JJ was last seen at a school in Idaho later that month. Vallow and Daybell married in November, not long after their previous spouses died, and Vallow's children were last seen. Daybell appeared in court Wednesday on charges of destroying evidence. His bail was set at $1 million. The charges against Daybell are part of a sprawling investigation that has stretched from Idaho to Arizona to Hawaii, picked up connections to a deep religious ideology, and raised new questions about the deaths of other family members. Vallow is currently awaiting trial for multiple charges, including 2 felony counts of desertion and non-support of children, according to a criminal complaint filed with the Idaho court. So as tragic as this discovery is, it is good news. It gives us some good answers. A lot of us had been having this conversation about, well, okay, they've got Lori in custody, but Chad has to have had something to do with this. You know, it's all too suspicious. There's no way that he wasn't connected, that he wasn't involved. And so we've been kind of asking and waiting, saying, hey, like, what's going to happen with this? You know, I know that they need just cause to arrest him and bring him in and all that, but man, you know, we gotta get him off the streets, because there have been some very suspicious deaths surrounding the two of them, and we know that Lori didn't act alone. So, as tragic as it is that they did find their remains, it's going to give authorities, hopefully, some good evidence and a really strong leg to stand on now in the case against Lori and against Chad. Next, we're going to take a look at just an interesting article. It doesn't necessarily pertain to any evidence or developments in the actual case, but I did think it was interesting because we all know that from an outsider's perspective, it would be very hard to even think that both Lori and Chad were innocent. I mean, everything we've heard, everything we've seen is highly suspicious and seems very odd. But of course, people within the family are defending them, and it looks like Chad had another author friend, I believe they worked on projects together, who has been supporting him throughout the past few months and saying, like, no, he couldn't have done that, there's no way. But now, longtime friend of Chad Daybell is no longer sticking up for his friend. One of Chad Daybell's biggest supporters says the last few days have caused him to no longer stick up for his friend. For months, Christopher Parrott was the only person close to Daybell or Lori Vallow Daybell willing to publicly say, when they call her Lori Vallow Daybell, did she literally get her name changed? Like, while her kids were missing, she took the time to change her last name to her new husband's. Fascinating. Anyway, willing to publicly say he knew the real story about what happened to JJ and Tylee. Here is just one of the messages he posted in an online forum, in big, bold words. Vindicated. Then, Chad and Lori called me tonight, and we spoke for almost a full hour. I'm here to tell you I feel totally vindicated in standing up for Chad. Sue, my wife, and I now fully understand what had been going on from day one, including what's been going on with the kids and his wife, Tammy's death. Parrott went on to blame, quote, lies that have been posted on social media and in the lamestream news. That's how you know somebody is credible, as if they say the lamestream news. Gosh. He promised their story in all of its detail is coming soon. The only hint he gave is that this was a nasty, ugly custody case being driven by Grandma. Are they implying that JJ's grandma, who would have been Charles's sister, so Charles is Charles Vallow, Lori's ex-husband who was murdered by her brother. JJ wasn't their biological son. He was adopted by them because JJ was Charles's great nephew, I believe is what it is. Charles's sister's grandson. So he adopted JJ. So I'm wondering if they're saying that Charles's sister, like they're trying to imply that she had something to do with this. It's very interesting. Anyway, on Thursday at their home in Rigby, Idaho, the Parrott's tone has changed drastically. They didn't apologize for their post, but said they feel terrible and that they had no idea the kids were dead. They went on to say that their hearts and prayers are with the family, and they want people to know they had nothing to do with this. When asked what story Chad Daybell had told them, they said they didn't feel comfortable sharing anything about that at this time because of the ongoing investigation, other than to say, obviously, Chad lied to us. I don't know about you, but this seems like you're not that surprised. Because if it were me, I would have apologized for the post. I would have said I was completely misled. I apologize. I was gullible. This was a not cool thing for me to say. Like, I'm sorry. But the fact that he's not apologetic and he's like, I'm not gonna say because there's an ongoing investigation. That's odd. And to say they want people to know they had nothing to do with this, I'm sorry, what? So hearing that made me want to take a little bit of a deeper look into Christopher Parrott, and here's his Amazon profile. Christopher M. Parrott, 1963 to currently living, was born in Southern California to Russ and Margot Parrott, grew up in Newport Beach, and attended the University of Colorado in Boulder. Served in the Army as a member of the 82nd Airborne, 117th Air Cav as a combat medic. During this time, he joined the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and was married to his wife of 25 years, Suzanne. Christopher has 4 children and lives in southeastern Idaho, where he manages LDS AVOW, another voice of warning, as one of several full-time businesses. Christopher is an avid outdoorsman with a particular love of snowboarding and scouting. He is also a licensed pilot, scuba diving instructor, both general and technical, EMT1, BCLS, BTLS, ACLS certified, and a parachutist, both civilian and military. A licensed firearms dealer, an expert marksman for the U.S. Army, a ham radio operator, FCC extra class, and a BSA Scoutmaster. Christopher's primary passion in life is preparedness, with an emphasis on helping others become better prepared and living a more self-sufficient lifestyle. In his free time, he has been known to occasionally get some much-needed sleep. Congrats to you, Christopher. This is weird. This is like a lot to put in your bio, to put in your Amazon bio as an author for Dreams, Vision, and Testimonies of the Last Days. There's also the LDS Preparedness Manual. And it looks like this is not the first version of it. Yeah, this dude's sketchy. He knows something is up. He's gotta know. He has all this like preparedness training, marksmanship training. He was in the Army. Like, this dude's not an idiot. I don't know what story Chad and Lori could have told him that would have made sense to him. He was still publicly sticking up for him up until the remains were found. So this is months and months and months. Like, what are you told that you believe? What's a believable story to you when your friends' kids have been stepkids have been missing for months and months? Like, I don't understand. Anyway, I wanted to give a little bit of a nod to Tammy Daybell. She was married to Chad for years and years. They have kids together. They seem to be very much in love, did a lot of work together, and she died of what was determined to be natural causes, but of course there wasn't an autopsy last year, so I just wanted to go through, give her a little bit more attention. Initially, like, the police said, oh, this is probably natural causes. She appeared to have passed away in her sleep, and her husband, Chad, said, we don't need an autopsy, so they didn't give her one. They have since exhumed her body, though, and they're going to be taking a little bit of a deeper look into that, doing an autopsy, trying to find out if there's anything they can link to a suspicious cause or an outright intentional murder of her. But I just wanted to go over the article. Friends of Tammy Daybell expressed concerns over her death, because there are multiple victims in all of this. There is so much tragedy and so much death surrounding both Lori and Chad. So I want to make sure that everybody gets their time. Like, a life is a life, and it's such a tragedy that they did find the remains of those kids, and I'm sure there's going to be even more gruesome details to come out about what happened with that. But I also want to make sure that all the victims are getting some time, getting some attention paid to their memory, and getting honored in the way that they should. Friends of Chad Daybell's first wife, Tammy Daybell, have come forward to say something wasn't right in the days before she died. She smiled nonstop, was out to do her very best, and then some, Mandy Fowler, Tammy Daybell's friend and co-worker, told KSL TV reporter Garna Meha? Sorry. Friends and co-workers like Mandy Fowler said Tammy Daybell was loved by everyone at Central Elementary School, where she worked as a librarian. She was the most amazing person ever, Fowler said. You only meet someone like her once in a lifetime. She said her 49-year-old friend was full of life, loved gardening, serving others, and had somehow found the time to train for a marathon. I mean, she truly was so awesome, said Fowler. Fowler said Tammy most of all loved being a devoted mother. She talked about her kids nonstop On Sunday morning, October 19th, 2019, Fowler said she got an unexpected call from her supervisor. She said she had heartbreaking news for us, and I was in total disbelief. I had just seen her. Tammy Daybell had allegedly died in her sleep the previous night at the Salem, Idaho home she shared with her husband, Chad Daybell, and some of her adult children. Fowler said Tammy Daybell was discovered in her bed, and no one knew the cause of death. It left her in shock. I saw her the day before she died, Fowler said. She said she had noticed something different about Tammy Daybell during her last visit with her. Fowler said Tammy would often suggest books for her to read. She had stopped by the library to talk about a book choice, but Tammy Daybell felt distant. I was coming to ask her about another book recommendation, and she was just really busy and didn't want to talk a lot. She seemed maybe kind of frustrated, and that wasn't typical of her. The day after Tammy Daybell died, staff at the school gathered to comfort her daughter, Emma Murray, who teaches at the same school. Oh, that's so sad. Everyone was having a hard time because it was so sudden, Fowler said. Everyone shared a lot of good, happy memories about her. Emma wanted to hear everyone's happy memories because she said that is what would get her through it. During the visit, Fowler and another friend told KSL that Murray also shared concerns about the state in which they found Tammy Daybell's body. Murray reportedly shared that Tammy Daybell appeared to have pink foam coming out of her mouth. Fowler and multiple sources told KSL that Chad Daybell refused to have an autopsy performed on his wife. They expressed concerns about Tammy Daybell's funeral, which they felt was rushed. Tammy Daybell was buried in Springville, Utah on October 22, 2019, 3 days after her death. Chad Daybell, 51, married Lori Vallow, 46, a few weeks after Tammy Daybell's death. There are now several allegations that the couple was having an affair before Tammy Daybell's death. Shocker. With so many investigations involving Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow, Fowler said she hopes to find out what happened to Tammy. I just can't help but think that I want to know what happened, she said. I want justice for Tammy. Tammy's death has since been determined to be suspicious and is being investigated by the Fremont County Sheriff's Office. Her remains were exhumed in December 2019. Autopsy results are still pending, according to the Fremont County Sheriff's Office. KSL-TV reached out to the Idaho Attorney General's office as well as the Fremont County Sheriff's Office. The Attorney General's office is assisting in the investigation as requested from the Fremont County District Attorney. Tammy Daybell's death investigation is still active, and authorities were not able to provide further information at this time. Tammy Daybell's family also provided the following statement Thursday in reference to the human remains discovered in Chad Daybell's yard, which are believed to be his stepchildren, J.J. Vallow and Tylee Ryan, which, as we went over, they have now been confirmed. As the family of our beloved Tammy, we want to extend our deepest and heartfelt love and sympathy to the families of Tylee and JJ. We share the pain of the tremendous and shocking loss you are enduring. We still suffer, and we will suffer with you for many years to come. Please know we will continue our prayers to strengthen your families as you are finally able to properly lay to rest your precious Tylee and JJ. As matters move through the judicial process, we pray that each of our families can be strengthened and trust that justice will be swiftly served. We wish to thank the many members of law enforcement and the FBI who continue to work tirelessly as investigations continue, and the public who have shown such love and support for our families. We also ask that our privacy continue to be respected at this time as we continue to grieve for Tammy and the Woodcock and Ryan families grieve this unfathomable loss. From Tammy's parents, siblings, and extended family. That was such a lovely statement. I cannot imagine what it's like to really kind of have like a definitive thing that shows you your worst fear. Because up until now, obviously there are suspicions around Chad and Lori, and Chad specifically within Tammy's death. Like, obviously this looks sketchy, but they exhumed the body to do the autopsy and they haven't released anything. I don't know if they've given the family any sort of insights onto what happened, but in the public's eye, they haven't released anything yet. And so everything's kind of up in the air. You're like, maybe this is all just coincidental. Maybe there's something I don't understand. Maybe there's something I don't know. But then the human remains are found on Chad's property, and you have to kind of face the reality of, nope, like this is what we thought it was, and this is my worst nightmare, and it's a possibility that someone in my family, somebody that I loved so much, was murdered by a man that she had kids with, by a man that she'd been with for, 30 years? Like, they'd been together since college. Their kids are adults. Their daughter taught at the same school as her. And to think that at some point you could just do something that horrific, I can't imagine what that's like, how it would feel to mentally wrestle with trying to justify and explain that and make sense out of it. So, man, I just want to send love. Like, I just want to hug all of these family members and say, like, we're all thinking of you, we're all rooting for justice, because everyone that I've seen is supporting these families, is saying we think that Chad and Lori are guilty. Like, nobody's sticking up for them. No one in the general public is sticking up for them. So I just hope they know how many people are out there, like, supporting them, wanting them to get justice for their family members. So as upsetting and horrifying as it is that they found the remains of Tylee and JJ, this is going to help. It is going to give prosecutors more information. It's going to help them be able to piece this together a little bit better, because Lori has previously been uncooperative, and so has Chad. So ultimately, this is going to help justice get served, but it is tragic. So to close it out, I do want to just let you know officially what he has been charged with. As of now, I foresee more charges being filed against him if they can get any information out of either of them or out of family members, because I think before the bodies were found, family members who maybe thought something was up but didn't quite know, now they might be willing to come forward and speak a little bit more freely. And they're also going to have this as just like when they're talking to Lori, be like, how do you explain this? Like, give us a story, and hopefully it makes her talk. Whether it's true what she says, whether it's not, they're going to be able to evaluate it, maybe use it to get Chad to talk. I don't know. Like, I hope that more information actually comes out and we just get the answers that we've been looking for. But as of now, Chad has been charged with 2 felony counts of destruction, alteration, or concealment of evidence. And that is, of course, because he buried 2 dead bodies on his property and didn't tell the police about it. So that's what that is. And then I did want to leave you with something that you could do to help. Now, this isn't directly related to Tammy, Tylee, or JJ, but this is something that hopefully we can get accomplished to keep anybody else from falling victim to whatever it is that Chad has been spewing in his multiple books before he got arrested. Chad is an author, and he was on multiple different forums, doomsday prepping forums, stuff like that. He's very much into the end of the world, as evidenced by the last deep dive we did on him, which I will link up here in case you want to check it out. But there is a petition to get Chad's books removed from Amazon. And quite frankly, I think that's probably for the best. Some of his books, from my understanding, are fiction, but some of them are a little bit more realistic. I don't want to say like lifestyle, but they're nonfiction books. They're books that are supposed to teach you something. According to his website, Daybell is the author of at least 28 books, nearly a dozen of which are about events leading up to the Second Coming, when many members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints believe Jesus will appear again on earth. Daybell also sells books about Latter-day Saint gospel topics like baptism, the Articles of Faith, and the priesthood. At least 4 are categorized as children's books. One of the books, labeled nonfiction on Daybell's personal website, is billed as a collection of graveyard stories you won't be able to put down. Daybell previously worked in the Springville, Utah cemetery. He was employed by the city 3 or 4 times in the cemetery, and his last position was as a cemetery sexton, a city spokesperson told 2 News. His wife Tammy was later buried in the same cemetery after she died in her sleep in October 2019. Daybell's marriage to Lori Vallow, JJ and Tylee's mother, 2 weeks after his first wife's death, drew the suspicion of law enforcement officers. Tammy Daybell's remains were exhumed for an autopsy, the results of which have not been made available to the public. Another book details a near-death experience Daybell claims to have had at age 17. The experience is cited by people who knew Chad and Lori, as well as the basis for what would come to be called cult-like religious beliefs that some speculate may have played a role in the disappearance and death of JJ and Tylee. An Amazon reviewer who posted months before news of the children's remains found on Daybell's property called one of the books End Times Religious Extremism gift-wrapped as fiction. Now, as for the petition, it is on change.org, and I will link it down below if you want to go ahead and sign it. It's called Amazon, Remove All Chad Daybell's Books. And the description is, author of several doomsday and religious-themed books, Chad Daybell was arrested on June 9th, 2020 after the remains of 2 children were found buried on his property. Oddly, Chad's new wife, Lori Vallow, was the mother and caretaker of both of these children. Chad married Lori shortly after his wife, Tammy, mysteriously died. Although she was presumed to die in her sleep from, quote, natural causes, end quote, her body has since been exhumed, and the public is currently awaiting the autopsy results. As of June 11, 2020, Chad's books are still available for sale on Amazon.com. This petition is to ask that they be removed permanently. Whether or not he is a child killer will be decided by the justice system. I'm sorry, the direct language threw me off. What we do know is that these kids were buried on his property, and he actively concealed where they were for 9 months. We ask that Amazon erase all mentions of Chad Daybell's works from their website. Let's see some of the reasons for signing. Jolene says he does not deserve to make money after knowing the kids are dead and on his property. Don't help him pay legal fees. Good point. If people continue to buy his stuff, he could use it to get an even better defense. I'm sure this dude appears to have a decent amount of money, and also he got money from Tammy passing away from her life insurance, so we don't need to financially benefit him any further. Let's just get those off Amazon. Mike said, I agree totally. Don't let that murderous bastard make money off of anything. They both need to burn in hell. Christy said, this man is a monster. Remove his book. Erica says, justice for Tylee and JJ. May they rest in peace. And Anastasia said, Chad Daybell publishes dangerous blasphemy that deceives and misleads readers into becoming followers and followers into becoming murderers. So there are a lot of people signing this, giving their thoughts. I think it is a good petition to get behind. This is simply just saying this man is clearly a criminal. Let's not give him any further opportunity to make money, so that way he can weasel his way out of this. So I will go ahead and also add that to the pinned comment down below. But that's where we're at essentially for the update on this story as of now. Obviously things are going to continue to develop, and it seems that a lot of you, as well as myself, are pretty invested in seeing where this goes, how this plays out. So I will continue to update you guys, and we can keep learning about what's going on together. But that is all I've got for this one. Definitely feel free to leave any additional thoughts or comments that you have down below. Let me know if you think that maybe this friend has something to do with it, because Christopher seemed very suspicious to me, but I don't know. All I have is this one news article and his Amazon author bio, so I could be totally wrong. But he does just seem a little bit odd. So go ahead and leave me your thoughts down below, and while you're doing that, if you would consider liking this video or subscribing to my channel, that would be incredible. And if you have subscribed already, thank you so much. I am so appreciative of you, and I love being able to just sit here, hang out with you, and talk about whatever. With all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Thank you so much for watching. Please be kind to people, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.